Hey everyone, it's Jasmine from Blogging Money Life. I am so glad to be here tonight and am looking forward to answering some questions for you all. Okay, oh, give me one moment. Looks like I am not connected to Facebook and I just got that alert from StreamYard. So, one moment. Looks like I am not connected to Facebook and I just got that alert from StreamYard. So, one moment. Looks like I'm not connected to Facebook and I just got that alert. Let me mess up. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. That was really weird. Um, I see I have a few people in. Hi, Ingrid. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. That was really weird. I'm getting some feedback. Give me one moment. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm not sure why I'm getting feedback, but let me see if I close my other browsers and if that makes a difference here. Very strange happenings with StreamYard today. So sorry about this, guys. Not sure what's happening. Let's see here. I think Facebook is having some issues. Um, so I'm just going to keep going. I think our Facebook viewers are out of the loop, but yeah, I'll keep it moving. All right, so uh, just moving on here, a little bit about me, you guys. I'm Jasmine from Blogging Money Life. I have been blogging for 10 years. I have another blog called Miss Millennium Magazine, and that blog is geared towards millennials in their 20s and 30s. That's where I first started blogging. And then I have a new blog that I just started with my husband, Chris, this year called Blogging Money Life. And this blog is way more geared towards things that I'm talking about today, which is how do you get a blog started? How do you make money with blogging? And just the blogging lifestyle altogether. Is it still possible to make money with a blog when you're starting now? And yeah, it's been something that I've been enjoying a lot, just being able to talk about this because I'm very passionate about it. And I do this Q&A call once a month, and I like to do it because it gives me an idea of what's going on with you guys as far as some of the questions you may have, or concerns when it comes to starting a blog or maintaining a blog. And yeah, just really happy to be able to help you in that regard. So here's how it goes. You post your questions that you may have in the chat here in the comments. And what I do is I answer them for you. I did have a list of questions from someone in our Bloggers Supporting Bloggers Facebook group, because in that group, what I do is I have a monthly Q&A that I typically do, not monthly, weekly Q&A thread. And I wanted to get to some of the questions there, but it looks like my whole Facebook account just got like shut down with me linking it to StreamYard. So Not sure what happened there, but I'm going to see if I can pull it up on my phone and be able to answer some of those questions as well. And then something else that I like to do during these calls is I like to kind of talk through some things that I've maybe experienced and get some insight from you guys too to see if you've experienced something similar. So I'll talk to y'all a little bit about that momentarily here. So, what I want to do is start with the questions that we've already received, go through those, and then if there are any other questions that you guys have in the thread, I want to go through those, and then I want to talk through a more recent topic when it comes to blogging for me. So, give me one moment while I pull up those questions that I've already received before our chat today. Oh, okay. I think I understand what's happening. I think groups on Facebook is like not working properly right now. They just went out or something. So I'm going to leave that alone. I guess I don't have any questions that were submitted previously because they were in the Facebook groups and Facebook is being very weird. So if you have any questions regarding blogging, please go ahead and post them in the comments. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is talk to you guys about a topic that I've been thinking about these last few weeks. So when I first started my blog back in 2011, I had all these hopes and dreams for it. I just knew that it was going to take off and do well quickly as soon as possible because I think that's the dream for everyone, right? And something that I did not anticipate when I first started blogging were some of the problems and issues you run into when it comes to owning a blog, right? And today I wanted to spend some time just talking through some of the problems that I faced with my blog as soon as this week. Like, for example, this morning I woke up to an alert from my hosting provider that my website was down. Which is something that if you have a blog, it's going to happen. It's happened to me numerous times with different hosting providers. So don't feel like if your site went down, like just because of your host's fault or whatever. Sites go down all the time for various reasons. For me today, my site went down because it got too big, and this is something that has happened to me so many times before. I used to be with a hosting provider called Bluehost. And when I first got started, I did it the same way that most bloggers do. I did the shared hosting. It's super inexpensive. It's only like $3 a month. And I said, oh yeah, if I can host my site for $3 a month, like who wouldn't sign up for that? But once your site gets to a certain space or a certain size with the number of articles that you have or the amount of traffic that you have coming to your site, that could cause trouble with your site being able to endure it. I actually, funny story, I got kicked off of shared hosting because my site got so big. I had so much traffic coming to it on a regular basis that they said, look, you can't be on shared hosting anymore. Everyone else who's on the same server with you, their sites are also going down because you have too many people going to your site. Like, you need to go somewhere else. And I said, okay, well, can I go to a bigger shared hosting plan? I said, no, like you can't do shared hosting at all. And because of that, I have been on a virtual private server. So for those of you who have never heard of it, it's you may have heard it referred to as a VPS. And I've been on a VPS now for several years because there's no shared hosting that will maintain my site at this point. And it's pretty awesome. But even though I'm on a VPS, which means like there's a little, host server that's just mine, I don't share it with anyone. But even with that, I still run into issues with my site going down. In this case, I just ran out of space. So I just doubled my space on my site. So I don't have any issues anymore with that, at least not for some time. And you want to make sure you're staying on top of that because you don't want to limit the amount of traffic coming to your site. Like, traffic to your site is awesome, but getting traffic to your site can lead to more problems because now you have to upgrade your space, like something I had to do today. But it's a good problem to have, y'all, your site going down. So That's one thing I did not anticipate when I went into blogging. Something I will say though, that it made me realize having my site go down and just other issues with my site where I'm like, why is it not up or why is it not functioning properly? Um, I have learned that you want to pick a good hosting provider who's going to be a good partner to you when you do have these problems. Um, with some hosting provider I always chose one that had telephone support because there's nothing more anxiety driving than having your site be down and you can't get in touch with someone, or they have an email system and they say something like, oh, we'll get back to you in 48 hours. Like, no, that is not going to work. I need some help sooner than that. So yeah, I always look for hosting providers that have at least 24/7 phone support. Currently I'm with SiteGround. They're awesome when it comes to that. I can chat with them immediately, or I can call them on the phone. I've done both. And I've done it for weird times, 6 a.m., 3 a.m., midnight. And they typically work pretty fast to get service installed for me. So, yeah, your site going down, that is something I did not anticipate. Before I get into some of the other items that I've experienced with my blog that have not gone as smooth, I see we have a question in the comments. So I want to get to that. Question is from Ingrid. Ingrid says, how do you find topics to drive traffic to your blog? Oh, I love this question because this is an SEO question. So to answer your question, search engine optimization. You want to drive organic traffic, people who are already looking for what you are writing to your blog. And to find those topics, you have to do keyword research. Now, I remember people telling me, oh, yeah, keyword research, that's the answer. And then I go, what's keyword research? How do I even go about finding the right keywords? Like, can you fill me in a little bit more? Because I have no idea what the heck you're talking about. Can I share my screen? Let's see. Maybe I can show you something for this. And that would be awesome if I could. I think I can. Here, I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you how to find topics that drive traffic to your blog. So let me do that here. It's too much. On computer. All right. Hopefully this doesn't break something. All right. Tab. New tab. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. All right. So how do you find topics to drive good traffic to your site? This is just a Google search, and this is where I start to figure out good keywords to find traffic to my site. Now, I have a lot of different Chrome extensions. I'm a Chrome extension junkie, but the one that we're going to use today is called Keywords Everywhere. Now, this is a tool that does cost. You have to buy credits. You can buy 100,000 credits for Keywords Everywhere for $10, and it usually lasts a pretty long time. So make sure you have that, have the Chrome extension. And then think about a topic that you already want to, think about a topic that is already going to work well for you when it comes to doing your blog. So let's say you wanted to write a blog post about how to get more traffic. So if I go how to get more traffic to my website, I'm just going to search that on Google. And it looks very familiar, right? When it comes to doing your search and how to get more traffic to my website. But what Keywords Everywhere does is it gives me some stats on this particular key phrase that people are searching for. So it says that this keyword phrase gets 320 searches per month. Now, think about you getting 320 searches per month to your blog. And for a lot of people, that makes a big difference as far as how much traffic you can potentially get. So I think, this could possibly be a good keyword. But what I like about this is it also gives you a competition score. This has a competition of 0.83, which is pretty high. So the competition score is between 0 and 100 or 100 or whatever. And you want to have a competition. At least what I look for is something that's below 0.20. So a volume that has more than roughly 100 a month, and then a competition of less than 0.20. Now, of course, this is probably too competitive to work with for a good keyword for a blog post. So I'm just going to go down to the side and see what other keywords come up. So you have another one, get traffic to your website free, 170 volume, competition 0.82. How to get traffic to your website fast, 90.81. But these are all really competitive keywords. So I don't think any of these would work. Now, here's another one, how to increase the website traffic. It has a search volume of 60, competition of 0.27. So, I mean, the volume isn't that high. The competition is still a little bit high. So I don't think any of these would work. This is probably not a good topic to go for. So maybe I want to do another keyword like organic traffic and see what comes up for that. So I said organic traffic, stinking. Look at that. So a volume of 880 a month and then a competition of 0.22. Now, this is a little bit higher than what we typically want to do, but I think that volume is out of this world. So this would be a great keyword to search for, to put in a blog post. Now, once you determine what that keyword is that you want to use in a blog post, you want to make sure you have it in all the right places, right? It should be in the title of your article. You should have it a few times throughout your content. You want to make sure to mention it in your bolded subheaders on your site. I have a tool that I love called SEMrush. They have a WordPress plugin that allows you to pretty much put in the put in that keyword, and then it'll find other keywords on Google that you can put into that article that is related, so that you rank higher for that keyword and others. So that has been a huge difference. Me using Keywords Everywhere to search for different keywords, and then using the SEMrush extension tool so that I can get more keywords into that blog post. And I've seen tremendous growth when it comes to organic traffic on my site. So I think that is a really good question. Hopefully I answered it and that it was helpful. Thanks for the question, Ingrid. All right. So I don't see any other questions right now, but definitely if you guys have more, go ahead and post them in the comments and I'm happy to get an answer for you. All right. So something I wanted to talk about today are problems that I face that I didn't anticipate facing when I first started my blog. And one tip I've already talked about is your website going down. And the way that I resolve that is making sure I choose a good hosting provider, one that's going to give me advice when they say, hey, your site's too big for shared space. You may want to look into doing a VPN. And then also choosing a hosting provider that allows you to talk to them on the phone 24/7. Now, I realize some don't allow you to do this, but if you can chat with them 24/7, that's great. Just being able to contact them and get some speedy answers when things like that happen. All right. Something else that I did not anticipate being a problem are the technology issues that you can run into when it comes to blogging. Now, I didn't anticipate this, but I saw some people out there who like barely knew how to use Word, who were like creating blogs and blog posts. I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it, right? I struggled with this. I was like hand coding my site because I didn't know what a content management system was. I didn't know what WordPress was. And once someone finally shared with me what WordPress was and a content management system, I was like, this is so much easier now than hand coding every little thing on my site. Not to mention it looks a lot better. So the tools part of it can be a little difficult, but something that I have learned when it comes to blogging, if you are running into any issues when it comes to technology, like you're spending way too much time trying to fix a problem on your site, I can almost guarantee you that there is a tool out there already that exists to make this problem easier. And I know that sounds like, really far-fetched because you're like, well, how could you know that? Like, there's so many problems that you can potentially face with your blog. And there's a lot of bloggers out there too. That's what I would say to that. And a lot of them have been solving many of these problems that we face currently with our blogs. It exists, we just have to find it. So whenever you find yourself getting frustrated with a particular problem and you're not sure if you're doing something right, or you feel like you spent way too much time on trying to solve this, just do a quick Google search to see if something exists to solve that problem already. Because chances are, I mean, it exists. And I'm speaking from someone like, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to bloggers. Like, I started in 2011, right? And in that time, I've seen so many changes, so many breakthroughs with different problems that I was facing, because people realized the problem and solved it. So I'll tell you one problem that I had. One, getting an email list started, right? I didn't want to do it. People kept telling me how important it was. But it was one of those things, like, I knew I was going to have to pay for an email marketing service. I didn't really know anything about email marketing tools. I knew there were the big ones out there, like MailChimp, right? Everybody knows MailChimp. But MailChimp definitely had its limitations for what I was trying to do. You know, MailChimp was created for e-commerce sellers, business owners, people who have, you know, a business and they have flyers and they're passing those things out, and, you know, they want to make it so people can sign up for their email list. That's what it was created for. So for some of the stuff that I was trying to do with my blog, like plug in YouTube videos, and then send them to digital products and get them to A/B test different lines and things like that. They just didn't do those things. It was like a bare bones email marketing tool for business owners who didn't know anything about marketing. Well, I think a lot of people gravitate towards MailChimp because it's pretty simple to use and it's free. They have a free version. And this is when I realized that there were some email marketing tools emerging that were made more towards digital business owners like myself, creators. Aweber was one that I used for a while. They had a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of cool things that they were doing to teach you more about email marketing and different strategies that people are not really trying, but it's super innovative. And here's some things you should try. So I used them for a while and I loved it. But where things started to go wrong with Aweber is I was reading a lot of blog posts from other bloggers who were doing well. And they said, yeah, you have to have an email tool that can do this and this if you want to try these new strategies. And unfortunately, Aweber wasn't built to do those things that I wanted to do. And that's when a tool called ConvertKit came along and they said, hey, we are made for bloggers. And anything that you want for blogging, we are staying on top of it. And we're going to make sure that this tool does exactly what you're looking for. And since they've been along and I've switched from Aweber to ConvertKit, I can say that they've definitely lived up to that promise. ConvertKit, they are an easy to use tool, and their biggest selling point is that they're innovative, right? If there's some new thing happening in the blogging community where people are looking for a tool, email marketing tool that does something specific, they're going to figure it out and they're going to do it quick. So that's something that I love about using ConvertKit. One of the big things about ConvertKit, however, that turned a lot of people off is that they didn't have a free version, right? So you had to go into this upfront paying for an email marketing tool. Now, at the time, you know, I was already paying for Aweber because I switched from the free MailerLite to Aweber because MailerLite couldn't do what I needed it to do. So I didn't have a problem switching to ConvertKit and paying because the price was similar. But if you're a new blogger and you are still trying to figure things out, you don't have money coming in from your blog yet, you probably don't want to pay for an email marketing tool. Well, ConvertKit, you know, they recently changed this, I think within the last year. They now have free accounts for up to 1,000 subscribers. So, you know, that's an option. I'll give you guys a link to ConvertKit so you can check that out. It's my affiliate link, but it's one I personally use. Another tool that I've used that is really good and it offers a lot of the same features as ConvertKit. I don't think they're as innovative as ConvertKit is, maybe a little bit slower when it comes to introducing new things to their platform, is MailerLite. Now, what's cool about MailerLite is they also have a free version, but they give you access to pretty much all of their tools on the free version, at least for some period of time. Then they'll cut you off after you get to a certain number or something like that. But if you're looking for a more robust email marketing tool that can give you everything for free upfront, MailerLite is the one for you. So I'm going to give y'all those links right now. You have them. You can check them out. But the whole point of this is, if you are struggling with something, there is more than likely a tool. Let's see, okay, bloggingmoneylife.com/ConvertKit. There's more than likely a tool out there that can make it easier for you. And this is just an example of that. I switched from one tool to the next to the next. If you have a problem, don't suffer in silence, and just say, oh, I guess this is just how it is. Definitely take that initiative to see if there's some other tools. Or my favorite thing to do, find some blogging communities and ask the question. I'm a part of so many blogging communities at this point. So if you are like, man, I'm really struggling with X, can y'all tell me about any tools that you've used to solve this problem? And I guarantee you'll probably get like 6 different options for a tool that'll work. One community that I will recommend is Bloggers Supporting Bloggers. It's more of like a thread group where we're sharing different threads for share your blog post this week, or share on Twitter, or share on Facebook. Hold on, there's a helicopter above me. One moment. All right, it's gone for the most part. So yeah, we have share threads, but we do have a weekly Q&A chat, which is what I wanted to look at to go over and answer some of those questions for you guys tonight. So yeah, it's a good group if you have questions like, hey, has anyone had any issues with this thing? Can you give me some tips on how to, resolve it? And it's a great place to do that. So yeah, that's another problem I ran into that I did not anticipate. Just having trouble with the technology and not knowing what technology existed out there. Google is your friend. If you ever have questions about like, hey, I have no idea what this means on my blog, or if you have an error. My favorite thing is like if I get an error on my website, I just Google what the error means, and then I have a little more insight as to what may be happening. That's how I figured out about error codes. So you may notice like if your site is not down, but if you go to a page that isn't working, it's you get 3 numbers. Like it's gonna be a 404, or it can be a 500, or something like that. Those all mean something. And I know that because I did a Google search. I didn't go to school for HTML code or understanding what any of those codes mean. It's just trial and error easily. So yeah. All right. So what have I talked about so far when it comes to different things for problems I've run into with my blog? The first is my site going down. The second is technology that I didn't really anticipate being a problem, or just not knowing what technology existed out there for me. Another problem I guess I ran into that I didn't anticipate is like how lonely that it can be when it comes to blogging. Like you're writing blog posts, you are sending out emails, you are posting on social media, you are a one-man show for a lot of this stuff. And it can feel like, man, am I the only person doing this? Like, is there anyone else who's like going through this exact same thing? Like, how are they managing it when it comes to how do I manage this with my day job, or how do I manage this with kids, or things like that? And I have found that finding friends who also know the struggle when it comes to blogging has been so important in keeping me going with blogging. And also just having a good understanding of like, hey, I'm not crazy here. This just sometimes it's just unbearable. Like, hey, I need to take a break. or I need to look at some other tools, or just understand how other people are solving some of the problems that I may be facing right now. I have I call them my blogging besties, because we meet a few times a week and we just talk through our blogs. We say what are the things that are challenging us right now, or what are some of the goals that we're trying to achieve. And in doing that, it helps me stay focused, because not only am I doing this for myself, I'm also doing this for the people who are holding me accountable to those goals that I said I was going to set. So I think feeling lonely, or like you want to give up on your blog, one way to solve that is to find other bloggers who may be experiencing the exact same thing as you, and just forming some type of mastermind group with them, being able to talk with them and let them hear you vent a little bit about the things that are driving you crazy, and also just hear what their stories are. You're not alone, and it's a good motivator to keep you going when you feel like giving up. So, okay, I see we have a couple more questions in here. I'm going to post them here. So Chris says, what's the Blogging Money Formula program? All right, so you're probably asking this because we've been posting about it on our social media and via email. We are currently launching our Blogging Money Formula course. And what Blogging Money Formula is it's a training that I've created, and it is to teach bloggers how to finally monetize your blog. So this is for those who, either you just started blogging and you're trying to figure out the basics, or someone who's been blogging for a while and you haven't been able to bring in consistent income with it. I show you everything from making sure your blog is set up properly so that you can bring in income with it, to my methods that I've used to bring in income initially, which for me was with sponsored posts. I like sponsored posts because it's a good way to get some really cool free things, but also to get some really big paychecks up front, and make it so that they're continuing to come in with your blog, and at the very least pay for your expenses, so that you can start investing in more of those tools and things that we talked about earlier. It's not on sale most of the year. It's only on sale right now until tomorrow, actually. So if you're interested in it, I'm going to post a link to it in the comments below so you can check it out. But definitely see what it's all about. It's a very similar style to how I'm talking to you right now. And yeah, hopefully it's that next step you need to finally bring in some income with your blog. All right, I think this is the right link, so I'm just going to post that there. Good question, Chris. All right, I have another question from Ingrid. Ingrid says, what is the best way to make money with your blog if you are starting? Okay, so there's a few ways to make money with your blog. I mentioned my husband, Chris, and we started a new blog this year in August, actually, and we were monetized that first month of starting it. And the way we monetized it initially was through affiliates, actually. So it just goes to show you, like, that's one way to bring income with your blog, and you don't have to have a whole lot of traffic to it, because I can't even remember how much traffic we get to our site. It's minimal. We probably get like 20 visitors a day to our blog, so nothing crazy, but we're able to bring in income through affiliates. Now, we got lucky because we launched our blog around the same time that the Genius Bloggers Toolkit was being released for the year. And I submitted a product to it, so I got a higher percentage as well for that affiliate program. But doing a blog launch, but doing a launch for an affiliate program to your email list and to your social media accounts and things like that is a good way to make money with your blog if you're just starting. Another thing I will say, one reason why I like sponsored posts as an opportunity to make money with your blog as a newbie is because that's something else that you do not have to have a lot of traffic to your site. What matters most is your target audience. If you understand who you're talking to and you are focused on who you're talking to, then I think the right sponsors will find you. Funny story about that. Me and Chris, we just started our blog in August. So how many months is that? August, September, October. So 3.5 months we've had our blog, and we've already had a few sponsors reach out to us who are interested in doing sponsored posts with us. We haven't done any sponsored post opportunities on Blogging Money Life yet, but just because we have that audience where we're honing in on a specific target, we have them coming to us. Now, I teach this in my course, Blogging Money Formula, how to set your blog up to receive those type of opportunities. But I also go into detail about how you find them through different sponsored post networks, finding their contact information and sending code emails, different things like that. So to answer your question, Ingrid, I think there are a few ways you can make money with your blog if you're just starting. I think one is affiliates, another is sponsored posts. You can make some money with advertising, like, signing up for Google AdSense, but we all know, like, you have to get way more traffic to see a ton of income come in from that. Otherwise, you're just getting pennies. But, pennies are better than nothing, right? I would say definitely check out Blogging Money Formula, and I talk through all the various ways that you can bring in income with your blog. So really good question. Good question. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in, but I do see a lot of you guys hanging out. If you have more questions, go ahead and post them in the comments here. And then I want to talk about one more issue that I've run into when it comes to blogging that I didn't necessarily anticipate. And that issue that I ran into was the time management piece of it all when it comes to your blog, right? So when you start a blog, you think, oh, I'll just write content, right? I'll write a blog post every week. I can do that, no big deal, right? But then when you start doing your research, you learn like, oh, I also have to send a weekly newsletter. Okay, fine. I can do a blog post and a newsletter. And then, you realize like, oh, I have to post on, on social media. So Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. And, oh, but I have to be creating video content to put on my blog. So I have to create it for YouTube. And then the list just like gets so big that you're like, this is a full-time job. This is a lot of work. And I don't know how I'm supposed to manage this when I'm still doing other things, like I mentioned, like having a job or having kids or just other responsibilities in your life. So that's something that I wasn't anticipating. I kind of got into it like, oh, this would be a fun little hobby. And then I made money with it. And then I'm like, oh, this can be a job, And then I started looking into all the things I can do to boost my traffic and stuff. And it just took up so much more time. So one thing that I did to resolve the problem when it came to having so much stuff to do is one, figuring out everything that you need to have to do, right? I think the overwhelming part is thinking that you're on a good roll, and then you hear from someone else like, oh, you're not doing this. You're supposed to be doing this. You should have did it yesterday. That's the part that stresses me out. Like, oh God, I'm so behind now. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. So one, just having a list of all the stuff that you need when it comes to what you should be working on. I think having a nice checklist for a blog goals and then creating a schedule from there is a good way to figure that part out, right? So make a list of all the things you need to do. And it's pretty much everything I just told you. It's having a weekly blog post, having a weekly newsletter. Make sure you're posting your social media channels every day because you should be. And then, of course, making sure if there's any additional content that you need to create outside of your blog, that's being created too. Whether you have a podcast or a YouTube channel or you're posting on TikTok, any of those things. Now, what I will say, I've seen some very ambitious bloggers who have, start with 3 blogs because they can't figure out which topic they want, or they have the holy trio of they have a YouTube channel, a podcast, and a blog. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Or, I've seen that before, and I would not recommend starting that way. If you do anticipate that you want to have like a YouTube channel and a blog, start one first and then bring the other one on after and find a way to make it so you can incorporate them into each other. That's pretty much what Chris and I did for Blogging Money Life. We had our YouTube channel for several months before we launched our blog. And it was great because we could focus on building our YouTube channel, building our audience. And by the time we launched our blog, we now have an audience who launch it too. And now, when it comes to our schedule for blogging, we line it up with our video schedule. So we know we have videos come out every Wednesday for our blog. For our YouTube channel, and we take that video and we turn it into a blog post for that next week. So they kind of work off of each other that way. So yeah, figure out everything you need to do and then create a schedule. The schedule part may seem a little intimidating too, because you're like, well, I don't have enough time. Figure out how much time you do have, right? If you only have 2 hours a week to dedicate to your blog, well, how do you divide that 2 hours into 6 different steps, right? If you only have 20 minutes to write a blog post, well, maybe you write a shorter blog post, or maybe you get some help with guest posts to help you write your blogs. If you only have 20 minutes to schedule social media, well, figure out there are tools out there that make that a lot easier for you too. I use a tool called SocialBee, and it's awesome because I can pretty much create social posts that are on a rotation automatically, and they're seasonal. So once it's Halloween time, for example, I just turn on my Halloween social media playlist, and it's going to make sure that there's a Halloween post being shared on Facebook every day until Halloween season's over, and then it goes into my Thanksgiving playlist of social media content. So that's just something that I've completely taken off of my plate, right? As far as scheduling social media, I just click a button once a month and that's done. Now I can take that 20 minutes I have for social media and put it back towards something more important, like writing my blog posts, right? So just think of it like that. I know it can be overwhelming, but once you put it down on paper, these are all the things that I need to do. This is how much time that I have to do it. And then you start breaking that down and paying attention to how much time does it actually take me to write a newsletter? How much time does it actually take me to write a blog post? And then, sometimes it means something has to fall, and that's okay, right? That is fine, so long as you understand what your goals are. So, for example, if your goal this year is to grow your email list, cool. If your blog posts are helping you with growing your email list, that is a priority now. You can't let your blog posts fall, but maybe you can let something else fall, like posting on social media, unless it's related to growing your email list somehow. So just, things to keep in mind. And we have another helicopter. 1 second. Yeah, I don't know why the helicopters start at night here. My husband and I, we just moved to the Central Valley in Costa Rica. And yeah, it's just a different environment. And I don't understand why we hear helicopters so often. um, but like I was saying, don't let all the stuff that you need to do when it comes to blogging overwhelm you. Write down those things, figure out which ones are more important, and then figure out how much time you have and dedicate those chunks of time to it. And whatever you do, don't just let everything fall. It's okay to let some things fall, right? But you want to make sure that you're staying on track and continuing to work on your blog, because as soon as you let everything fall, it is so much easier to just give up, right? And say, well, I'm just not going to do this anymore. Life is great when I'm not working on my blog. And yeah, you don't want that to happen. So that's what I would say as far as overcoming that hurdle when it comes to blogging. So we talked about a lot tonight, right? So just a quick recap. We talked about my first problem, my site going down, right? And that just happened today for me. So it happens to everyone, right? We talked about the issue of tools and technology, and not understanding what all of it means, or not knowing what technology is out there. But that's something, of course, a quick Google search can help you resolve. We also talked about the potential loneliness of feeling like, oh, am I the only one that's doing this? Is anyone even paying attention to this? I have no idea how to answer this question. and finding some blogging besties or joining some blogging Facebook groups where you can ask questions and just understand all the changes that may be happening within the blogging community is very helpful. And then the last thing we just talked about was feeling overwhelmed with all there is to do when it comes to blogging. And there is a lot to do when it comes to blogging. And we talked about resolving that by just making a list of all the things that have to be done, um, making a note of how much time you have to dedicate to your blog, and then splitting it up so you can work on those things on your blog within a lot of time that you have. So all things I did not anticipate, but I experienced and I've been able to overcome them. You know, I have two blogs that bring an income for us every month, which is great. So no complaints there about that. And I feel like you can have the exact same thing. There's no reason why you can't. You just have to know how to go about doing it. And if you have the right tools in front of you and the right mentorship, there's no reason why you can't also achieve that. So I hope that this Q&A was helpful. If it was, definitely check out more of my Q&As that I have. It's a whole series we do on YouTube, and they typically get lots of great questions like the ones that we've received tonight. So definitely check those out. And then, of course, check out my Blogging Money Formula program. I put the link in the comments here so you can see more about that and see if it's a good fit for you, because it's a great way to finally start being able to monetize your blog if you're not monetized already. So I think that's everything that I have for y'all tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the great questions. And I hope it was helpful. Oh, awesome. Ingrid said very helpful. Thank you. Great. Hopefully we'll see you next month for next month's Q&A. I will see y'all then. Bye.